Welcome back to CTV News Channel. I'm Akshay Tandon. There is strong reaction this morning to that breaking news out of Qatar and the surprise Israeli airstrikes that targeted Hamas leadership in the capital, Doha. Israel says the attack targeted Hamas leadership that it claims were directly responsible for the October 7th massacre. The attack comes as negotiations aimed at ending the war in Gaza have effectively stalled, and Israel appears poised to begin a new military offensive in Gaza. Qatar's foreign ministry strongly condemning the attack, calling it a criminal assault that constitutes a blatant violation of all international law and norms and poses a serious security threat to the safety and security of Qataris, a sentiment echoed this morning by United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
We are just learning about the Israeli attacks in Qatar, a country that has been playing a very positive role to achieve a ceasefire and release of all hostages. I condemn this flagrant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar. All parties must work towards achieving a permanent ceasefire, not destroying it.
Thomas Warrick, Senior Fellow, Snowcroft Middle East Security Initiative, Atlantic Council, joins us now. Thomas, good afternoon. Great to see you again. Your first thoughts, assessment of this strike in Doha?
So the outcome of it is not really clear. You had reporting from some Arabic language channels suggesting that many of the negotiators survived the strike. Israel is saying is not sure. And it was noteworthy that the United States must have privately told the Israelis, don't associate us with this, because very shortly after there was a press report saying that Israel thought it had a green light, the Prime Minister's office put out a contradictory tweet that said, no, this was an entirely Israeli operation. And so right now, obviously, we wait for definitive news as to what happened, what the casualty count was, who the casualties were. But it's clear that one of the casualties is there aren't going to be ceasefire talks for the time being.
Thomas, I'm curious to understand, while we await reaction from the White House on this, confirmation on this, about the major consequences of such a strike in Doha.
So President Trump had said that this was the last warning to Hamas to accept the Israeli-U.S. position for a complete release of all hostages and a promise to an end of the war. And obviously, Hamas did not accept the U.S. offer. There were several days ago warnings from the Israeli Defense Forces Chief of Staff that Israel was going to start targeting Hamas's leaders no matter where in the world they might be. And so it does appear that this is something that the Israelis have been contemplating for a while. My guess is that the terrorist attack in Jerusalem yesterday that killed 6 people was probably the reason why Israeli leaders decided that they had no choice but to take this drastic military action.
And if this were to have had the go-ahead from the United States, what does that mean for the relationship between U.S. and Qatar? Because, Thomas, we know that Qatar has been attacked at least twice since 2023, since the war began. Once during Israel-Iran war.
Iran, yes.
Yeah, and now. So what does it mean for this relationship between U.S. and Qatar?
So actually, it doesn't work the way you suggest. The way it actually works is that Israel, as they have said publicly, says we are prepared to strike Hamas leadership targets anywhere in the world. The Trump administration reaction is sort of an okay, all right, you know, in principle, to Trump, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. And then literally 1 hour before the bombs landed in Doha, it appears that's when the Israelis told the Americans that the strike is on the way. By then, it's too late to stop. It's at the point of no return for all practical purposes. Israel has done this so many times. Those of us who served in the U.S. government understand this is the way it works. It's not as though Israel comes to the United States and says, here's our strike package, do you approve? That's actually not what happens. So in this case, Israel made a decision for its own national security reasons, and they're obviously prepared to take the consequences in terms of the fallout of the relationship with Doha fallout with other Arab states. You've already heard the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia condemning the strike in public. In private, it's a slightly different story. I think for the Trump administration, the real problem is going to be how do you get any of the peace talks back on track to give Donald Trump the triumph of finally ending the war between Israel and Hamas.
Right. Thomas Warrick, appreciate your insights and your opinion. Thank you for joining us on CTV News Channel.